Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from Keep Troop Beautiful, also from the Development Authority of LaGrange, and also I have on some characters from the Leading Lady play that will be taking place at the LSPA. So stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with two gentlemen that are going to be here talking about the Great American Cleanup that's already taking place. We have, first of all, the Executive Director, Mr. Scott Lander, and also the Board Chair, Mr. Howard Mingo. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, the Great American Cleanup is something that everybody can get involved with, and I know that this is, an annual event. And I know that you two gentlemen have your fingers on the pulse, and we want to just beautify our city. I'm going to start out by speaking with asking Scott. Scott, tell us a little bit about your role as the Executive Director for Keep Troop Beautiful and also the Great American Cleanup, if you don't mind.
Well, I joined Keep Troop Beautiful in February, so I'm a newcomer.
Kind of newcomer, all right.
Newcomer to that organization, but it's a great organization, and we're really focused on beautifying our county, our area. We're affiliated with Keep Georgia Beautiful, which is also tied to Keep America Beautiful. So we've got a good lineage there, and we focus on litter, which relates really to recycling, reuse, really kind of keeping our area clean. So we come up with programs that we like to put in place all year long. Mm-hmm. Certainly what we're in the midst of right now is the Great American Cleanup. And that kind of kicks off around Earth Day, which is always in April. And for us, it's going to continue into May in terms of a focus. So we want everybody involved.
Okay, well, very good. All right. And Howard, you've been on before, and you're the board chair. Talk a little bit about your role there as a board chair and what you would want people to do. And I know that you want to talk a little bit about our litter index, too, if you don't mind.
Well, as a board chair, I kind of try to put all this together and keep those balls juggling and in the air, because we have several events during the year. This is one of our biggest events and one of our most community involved event, the Great American Cleanup, and that is all over the United States. And what we ask is that individuals, groups, a church group, a school group, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any kind of group, adopt an area, mm-hmm. clean it, beautify it. That can mean you're cleaning up trash, you're removing graffiti, you are planting a garden, anything that you do. We do have a form that we send out. You fill out that form, tell us what you've done, and we include that in our what we report to the state, and we'll gather all that information. We'll have a closing ceremony May the 21st, that morning on the square. We'll also have a bin there that gets there that Friday. We'll be there Friday evening, the 20th, and we'll remain there until the 22nd, where you can bring your trash. We will have a tire bin, so we'll have a tire amnesty. Hopefully we don't get any commercial tires, but it's for individuals, and we'll have that available. And so, and as always, the recycle areas are available. The one right on Lafayette Parkway, right up under the water tank, mm-hmm. that one's always available. If you can recycle it, reuse it, reduce it, the 3 R's that we talked about, that's what we want to do. But we want to make our county outstanding. We have been an award-winning county several times with Keep Georgia Beautiful, and we want to continue that trend. Okay,
well, very good. And Howard, Scott, I want to ask you, because Howard alluded to it, a tire amnesty, and I know I'm just thinking about, I got 2 tires in the back of my truck right now that I need to get rid of. And I know the other people around the community may also have tires that they need to get rid of. So they all have an opportunity to bring tires. Talk about that and where that's going to be located.
Well, here in LaGrange, we have been, with help from the city, been able to arrange a bin for tires, and it'll be located at the old Westbrook Tire site at the bottom of Main Street there. Yeah, the amnesty part is, it costs a community or costs people money to dispose of tires. When you go out to a tire store, for instance, and buy tires and you leave your old ones there, you actually pay them a fee to dispose of those tires. So some people don't like to have to pay that fee, and they have a tendency to leave those tires on the side of the road, which is not what we want. Absolutely. So that's why we call it a tire amnesty. You can bring those tires, and again, we want normal vehicle tires, not commercial tires. You can bring them that weekend of May 20th, 21st to that site at the old Westbrook Tire Center and leave that tire there without having to pay anything. So we can get some cleanup going on tires.
Okay, well, very good. And speaking about cleanup, I know that there are some groups that have already gotten started. So talk about that, gentlemen, if y'all don't mind, and then how can others get involved with the Great American Cleanup?
Sure. We've been working over the last couple of weeks with a couple of groups. We have coming up, the Sierra Club group is signed up to do some work. We've got a church down in West Point that I believe worked last weekend. I haven't heard back from them yet, but we gave them trash bags to use, so hopefully they worked last weekend. We'll hear back from them. And Interface, I've worked with Interface. I'm a former Interface employee, so I have a closeness to that group. But they started work last week as well, and so far, and they're not done yet, they're going to work again this Friday, but they've included 104 volunteers, and that's both in West Point, at the Interface location in West Point, as well as in the industrial park here in LaGrange. They've collected, let's see, about 50 bags of trash already, and 2 tires, and several other things that they've been able to pick up around those areas. So they've collected it. And thanks go out to the City of West Point and the City of LaGrange, who have worked with these groups to pick up those trash bags and keep the cleanup going.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, and I want to ask this question, then I want to kind of close out by talking about Doris, and we all both know, and I knew Doris as well. How can others get involved in helping with this Great American Cleanup?
Well, you can call us at our number. Usually you can leave a message at 706-884-9922.
Okay.
Tell us what you're going to do. We will get a form to you. We will get bags to you. And hopefully we'll be able to get gloves to you also. We usually get donations, and we're working on getting those donations. But we will help you. If you need a site, we will give you a site that you can clean up, or if you need any kind of help with that, or we can connect you with another group. So just give us a call. We'll be glad to get you a place that you can help make Troop a more beautiful place to live.
Okay, well, very good. And for years, Doris Jefferson was the executive director for Keep Troop Beautiful, and I knew her, and Scott and Howard both knew her. And I know that this year you all are starting a memorial scholarship in Doris's honor. Speak about that if you don't mind, gentlemen.
Great that you asked about that, because Doris was very passionate about keeping Troop clean, and on her dying bed, she was asking about some business with keeping Troop beautiful. So a memorial scholarship has been set up, and it was from a donation by her son, Derek Peavy, to Keep Troop Beautiful. And we have funds for 10 straight years where we will give out a $500 scholarship to a deserving senior here in Troop County who is interested in keeping Troop clean. We had 10 applicants. They came from the private schools and the public schools. We have picked a winner. We haven't named that winner yet, but we will write that winner a check for $500 that they can use to help with their college experiences. So we're really, really happy to do that.
Absolutely, and going off to college to have an extra $500 in your pocket, right, is great, like I say, for books, moving expenses, or whatever the case may be. So the Great American Cleanup has already gotten started, and if you don't mind, gentlemen, just tell us that closing dates again is going to be May the 21st, I think. So.
Yes, so May 21st is our celebration, if you will, where we'll recognize the various groups that have worked and helped to clean up, and that will be on the square here in LaGrange.
Okay.
So we'll look forward to seeing everybody come out that day and honor those folks that have worked very hard to keep Troop beautiful.
Very good. closing, why is this so important that we all get involved with this? Each one of you gentlemen.
Well, we want the Troup County to be known as a beautiful place to live, work, and do business. And as you know, we've had movies made here. Movie stars have been here. It's a corridor where people pass through, and we want it to look good. It's just good for business. And as you know, we just finished our litter index, and this is where we go. We travel 248 miles in Troup County, and we index. We take a look at certain areas, the same area each year, and we're seeing if it's getting better or getting worse. And we have had an improvement over last year. We haven't digested all of it yet, but we'll be able to put that in the news shortly, that we see an improvement here. So we think our work is getting something done.
Well, very good, gentlemen. I want to thank both of you all for being on the show today, and I know that the community will come out, as we have in the past, to make sure that the City of LaGrange, City of West Point, City of Hogansville, Troup County is kept beautiful, because it affects us economically, bottom line. So, gentlemen, thank both of you all for what you're doing with Keep Troup Beautiful and the Great American Cleanup. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm being joined on the set by the president of the Development Authority of LaGrange, Scott Malone. Scott, welcome to the show.
Alton, it's always a pleasure. I've been on your show many times over the last few years, and my role with tourism in Troup County, and to be back in my role with the Development Authority today is just an exciting thing for me, and great to see you.
Well, it's good to have you on, and because Scott, you know, when you are now in a new role, and you're up there on the third floor of City Hall with us, and you bring a little bit of more energy up there, I must say, and you have an important role. Talk a little bit about the role that you carry, and also the importance of what you do and how it interfaces with the City of LaGrange.
Well, in particular, the Development Authority, you know, his role is, at the end of the day, bringing capital investment to the community and jobs. That's what we're trying to do and accomplish on every level. And so one of the changes that's happened with the change in the role, and I think most people know here in the City of LaGrange, that Bobby Carmichael had played this role, you know, on a part-time basis for the last 4 or 5 years. And as we've reached a point of growth in our community, I think he realized it was time for somebody to be in that role in a full-time capacity, and that it needed to be a little bit different than it had been in the past. It was a little bit disconnected from the city in the sense that it was in an office down the street. I think, you know, to Tom Hall's credit, he realized that it needed to be a little bit more interconnected with what was going on in the city, and they made the decision, the board did, to move it up to City Hall, to change it from an executive director to a president's role, which gives a little bit more oomph around the state when you're having conversations with the state leaders and the regional leaders on what it is we're trying to accomplish. They realize that with the decision maker, it makes a difference. And so moving up to City Hall has been really, really important out, and I think you see that, and I think everybody that knows me knows I get pretty charismatic and energetic about what's going on, and the reason behind that is the excitement of our community.
That's right.
You know, I had the opportunity to, and throughout my career, to live all over Europe, to live in Asia Pacific, Manila and the Philippines, all over the U.S. Of course, I grew up in LaGrange, and so I'm a LaGrange boy, but I left for a long time, and having that experience around the world allowed me to see what incredible resources we have right here in our community. I knew that, but you get a lot better feel for it when you have a chance to go elsewhere. Going to some of these economic development conferences around the state, you hear about some of the resources they have or wish they had, and we can go check, check, check. We got them all.
That's right.
Whether it's the infrastructure that we have with the city, our 3 industrial parks that we have combined are the largest in the state of Georgia. Most people don't realize that. We have more Fortune 500 companies in LaGrange, Georgia, that per capita than anywhere in the U.S. That is an amazing feat, and you go, why is that? It's because of the infrastructure and our forefathers and Mr. Callaway and the things and decisions he made back in 1900 to put us in the electric business, 38 or whatever it was to put us in the gas business.
Okay.
That infrastructure has made it, given us the opportunity when big companies and corporations are looking at locating where they want to locate. They want to locate where they have low risk.
That's right.
How do you have low risk? You got to have fantastic infrastructure. You have to have a workforce that's fantastic, and you got to have a quality of life. And guess what? You know this because you've been involved.
That's right.
We've got it
Got
all.
it all, right.
And so that's where my enthusiasm comes from. The role is important in the sense that I'm the one out building relationships around the state with project managers, with the folks at Georgia Power, with the site consultants that make these big decisions on where companies are looking to locate. We've got a wonderful track record. Everybody can know the things that happened with Kia more recently in the last 8-9 years. But even prior to that, our history. You know, we became the #1 industrial park in the state of Georgia in the 80s.
That's right.
When we brought in 50 or 60 new companies back then, and most people don't even realize that story. That set our foundation up to where we are today, and we're poised to have, as I tell folks, the greatest 10-year run in the history of LaGrange starting right now.
Absolutely. You know, Scott, all the things you talk about, you know, most of us that live here, sometimes we take those things for granted. It's like you're saying, until you travel outside this circle and you see the other communities wish they had some of the things. Because I know that there's been numbers of times that I've been throughout the state of Georgia and they talk about, oh, you from LaGrange. You guys, you know, don't have any property taxes. You guys got, like you say, the infrastructure and all those things. So we don't realize how fortunate we are. Even with all those things, Scott, I know there's some changes coming. Talk a little bit about some of the changes that you see coming.
Well, the changes that are coming is, as I said, I think, you know, I mean, I think it's somewhat public knowledge, you know, the Great Wolf Project and what's going on, and while it hasn't publicly announced, it's on the radar. It's a big project for our community outside of the industrial development we've had over the last 30 or 40 years. So it's kind of a pivot point for us.
That's right.
And I tell everybody as I'm out kind of talking about LaGrange and what we're doing, that, you know, if you look at our growth, we've been relatively flat over the last 50 years, but it hasn't been static. It's been very dynamic. You know, up and down, there have been these flows with the textile industry falling out, Kia coming back in, the diversification of our industrial park in the 90s. But if you look at the net numbers, it's been very flat. So the outside world looks and goes, what are y'all doing in LaGrange? You're not growing. Well, we've hit a point now, Alton, where we're in the inflection point. You're about to see explosive growth in our community that's happening, and you go, why is that? I'll come back to the infrastructure, the workforce,
that's right,
you know, the quality of life, but geographically we are positioned so well in the state of Georgia and the southeast, particularly with a lot of these international projects that are coming on. When you look at it, I tell everybody we're in the Southern Research Triangle. We go, what is that? You've got Atlanta, you've got Auburn, Opelika, and Columbus, and Fort Benning, and we're sitting right in the middle of the bullseye. And oh, by the way, a quality of life, we have a 26,000-acre lake. We've got $8.5 million brand new amphitheater. We got a $5 million symphony hall. We have 4 colleges in our town. You go down the list and it goes on and on. What's the other great driver for us? We're 45 minutes from the busiest airport in the world.
Absolutely.
We have 2 railroads that cross right here in LaGrange, Georgia, that go to the ports. And so that in itself is driving tremendous economic development for us that's just started. When I tell people we're in the inflection point, and I say the next 10 years are going to be the greatest 10 years we've had in our history, it's a fact. It's not talk. It's happening right now before us. What's important for our community to realize is we got to focus on the positive aspects of that growth and not get hung up on some of the negatives that may happen.
Absolutely.
We're going to have traffic problems that come. That's a sign of growth. Those are the kind of things that we want to have. And so those things are happening. We're making a gentle shift from being truly dependent on an industrial growth to now with things like Great Wolf. You're going to start seeing a lot more of the retail components. A lot of people have wondered, you know, from an economic development standpoint, well, what is the city doing that's keeping retail from coming to LaGrange?
Right.
The reality is nothing. That's a numbers game. Most retailers are looking for a population of around 100,000 before they look to locate in a community. We're at about 70,000. We're going to hit those numbers a lot quicker than the 100,000 number as far as attracting retail because of all these other things that we have going on. The manufacturing base that we continue to grow, the quality of life that we have in place, that workforce which is so critical. And we're drawing from a 9-county region as Paige in the chamber like to say, we're a small town of 1 million people, because we have over 1 million people within a 45-minute drive of our community. Absolutely critical to economic growth moving forward.
Well, very good. All those things, again, it's just so important for this community and the survivability of the community. And here's something else I want, and I had on last week, Yolanda Stevens, and also had on Kurt Hancock.
Absolutely.
This is something I think is very near and dear to your heart as well. And if you don't mind, as we get ready to close out, touch a little bit about talking about eSplost.
Education SPLOST, education in general, Alton, the #1 driver. And when I told them I would take this role, and Spear Burdette and the board of directors for the authority, when they came to me and asked my thoughts on it, I said, they asked me, what do you think the most critical element is? I said the most critical element, and I think most people in the economic development world know that, is your education system.
Okay.
Our challenge is that we focused on the negative of our education system, and the reality is we have a pretty good system. It's not perfect. It can be better. We've had the outside world and Bill Daggett and Dr. Daggett come in and study our system compared to other school systems around the country. And they realize that y'all are pretty good. You're not great, but you're pretty good. You're not bad.
Okay.
And so there's some really good things in there, and you need to tell that story a little bit better. And we need to figure out how to make some improvements in making education, the rigor of education, the relevance of education, the relationships of education more pertinent to the students of our community. Education SPLOST is a big part of that. And I say education SPLOST versus eSplost.
That's right.
Because people get confused on the SPLOST. Education SPLOST is specifically for the school system. These are projects that have to be done. They're not just a wish list of projects that have to be done. And if it's not paid for through the Education SPLOST, it's going to be paid for through the taxpayers and increased in millage rate. Very important for people to realize that. This vote that's coming up with the Education SPLOST, it's not a new, it's a continuation.
That's right.
There's no new taxes being created. It's a continuation of that. There's only 2 counties in all of Georgia that don't have an education SPLOST. So there's over 150 something counties that do have education SPLOST, and there's a reason for that. It's an opportunity to allow 30% of your projects to be paid for with outside folks coming into your market. What more could you ask for? It's important that our people understand that. It's important that we pass that education SPLOST here over the next couple weeks.
All right. Well, Scott, our time always just slips away. I'm going to definitely have you come back on, and we can sit down for the whole segment and talk about some of the other things going on. So I just want to thank you very much for being on the show today, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm being joined by a couple of individuals that we're talking about an upcoming play in our community. I have April McArdle, and also I'm being joined by Barry Kennedy. Welcome to the show, you all.
Thank you for having us.
Well, April, you've been on in the past in a different capacity, and you're now being a leading lady at the LSPA in Leading Ladies, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your role there, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm playing Meg, who is this young, she's early 30s, but she still wants to experience life. She lives in a small town, York, Pennsylvania, and she just wants more. She wants to act, she wants to travel, and she's just kind of stuck where she is. She's engaged to a minister who may or may not be the person that you want as a minister. And she is going to be inheriting $3 million. That she's wanting to experience a lot more than what she has in York, Pennsylvania. So, but she is a great character. And then there is a love interest. This is a romantic comedy. It's a lot of fun. This is actually my first show at the LSPA, and I've had a great time. We have a wonderful cast and a great director, Carol Kane.
Okay.
So I've had a blast.
Well, great. And you were talking about this is your first show, and I think you are a graduate of LaGrange College, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I actually went to college and have a theater minor, and I was in a few shows there. And this was me being able. I have had several years, about 6 years now. I haven't really done a show. So I made it one of my goals this year to go audition for a play, and I saw that Leading Ladies was coming up. I read the synopsis and was like, I really want to do this show. It sounds hilarious, and I was very happy that Carol casted me.
Well, very good. And speaking about hilarious, I think, Barry, you're going to be playing a part that may be a little hilarious. We're not going to give it away, but tell us a little bit about what you will be doing, if you don't mind.
Well, I am a leading citizen in the community,
Uh-huh.
and I'm playing a part, for me personally, that is a challenge and something I've never done before.
Okay.
At my stage of the career, as you can see, the days have passed. I look now for parts that are interesting and kind of going to change my approach on parts, and this fit right in with that.
Okay, all right. And I think you've been involved with theater for quite a while, right?
For quite a while, I've done a bunch of shows, and since I've been in LaGrange, I have done both at the LSPA in New Horizons, and probably 8 to 10 roles overall, and I love the LSPA. We are so fortunate in this community to have so many arts available to us.
Absolutely. Tell us those dates that they can come out to see the Leading Lady show, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
so we open next week. We'll be opening Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so May 5th, 6th, and 7th. And those will be 7:30. And then Sunday, Mother's Day, we are doing a matinee. That's the only day we're doing a matinee at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And then the next week we'll be running the show again on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the last day will be May 14th.
Okay, all right. And that's Leading Lady, and ticket prices, and how can they get those?
So you can get tickets, go on our website. You can go to the LSPA website online, order tickets. It is a picnic theater, so bring your dinner. You can actually
Okay.
order dinner from Marisol as well. You don't have to bring anything, but it is available as an option, and you can pick your seat online.
Okay, well, very good. I know that the community will come out and support it, and Barry, I'm definitely going to come out so I make sure that I see this role that you were playing, okay?
Well, thank you so much.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you all for being on the show today, and like I stated, community, come on out, support the LSPA and the Leading Lady. All right, so thank you both for being on the show.
Thank
you.
for having us.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for City Week this week. My guests have been, first of all, from Great American Cleanup and Keep Troop Beautiful, Howard Mingo, Chairman, and also Scott Linder, the Executive Director, as they talked about the Great American Cleanup that's taking place. And you also will be having a closing ceremony on May the 21st. Also, I had on Scott Malone, the President of the Development Authority, as he talked about some of the changes coming about here in LaGrange, and particularly the education spots that will be on the ballot May the 2nd, the early voting, and May 24th. So keep that in mind. And I closed out with April McArdle and Barry Kennedy talking about the Leading Lady that will be coming up May the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Also on May the 8th, 3 p.m. show, and then again May the 12th through the 14th. So ladies and gentlemen, come on out to support this very worthwhile cause here in our community. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.